On the face of things, it seems both absurd and unfair that large American companies regularly whittle down their tax bills, taking advantage of every loophole on offer. One study found that at least 55 big companies incurred no federal taxes at all on their profits in 2020. A proposal being discussed as The Economist went to press, and as the Democratic Party scrambled to fund its social spending package, seems to offer a popular solution: a minimum tax on corporate earnings as reported to shareholders, rather than as massaged down when reported to tax collectors. The Democratic Republic of the Congo will hold an election in December, hopefully leading to a peaceful democratic transfer of power for the first time in the country's history. Sitting President Joseph Kabila came to power in 2001, having succeeded his father, Laurent Desire Kabila, after his assassination. Joseph Kabila was elected as president in 2006 for a 5-year term, and re-elected in 2011. Though his second term ended in 2016 and the DRC constitution prevents him from seeking a third term, elections were not held and Kabila remained in power. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released the first part of its latest assessment report. The Earth is warming. Even with a drastic reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, temperatures will probably be 1.5 degrees Celsius above their late 19th century levels by 2050. Climate change is underway, the report laments, with all the environmental consequences that brings. The extent of the damage depends on the cumulative buildup of emissions, and can be limited if the world strives for net zero carbon emissions. It might sound obvious that if you want to improve a robot's software, you should improve its software. Agram Gupta of Stanford University, however, begs to differ. He thinks you can also improve a robot's software by improving its hardware, that is, by letting the hardware adapt itself to the software's capabilities. As they describe in Nature Communications, he and his colleagues have devised a way of testing this idea. In doing so, they have brought to robotics the principles of evolution by natural selection. They also cast the spotlight on an evolutionary idea that dates from the 1890s, but which has hitherto proved hard to demonstrate. European market is a tough terrain for food delivery films. Delivery Hero has had a good run in the past couple of years. In August 2020, it ascended to the DAX, the stock market index of Germany's most valuable listed firms. It is present in 50 countries on 4 continents. Revenue for the third quarter was €1.8 billion, $2 billion, a jump of 89% compared with the same period in 2002-0. We grew 100% before Corona, 100% during Corona, and we will grow 100% after Corona, says Nicholas Oostbug, the Berlin-based firm's Swedish chief executive. By number of orders, Delivery Hero is more than twice as big as DoorDash, its large American rival. The lives of distinguished people often take a lot of telling. Yet even devotes might raise an eyebrow at the heft of Sir Paul McCartney's memoir, 2 volumes, totaling 960 pages. Casual Beatles fans may be surprised by the title too. Though most would consider Sir Paul the band's musician, with an honorable mention for George Harrison, John Lennon typically gets the plaudits for writing. In a poll by BBC in 2001 to rank the greatest lyricists, Lennon received more than twice as many votes as McCartney. Like every farmer, Courtney Hammond, who grows blueberries and cranberries in Washington County, Maine, has a lot of worries. He frets about weather, invasive species, failed crops, and global prices. To abide by federal food safety laws, he has had to do training, maintain meticulous records, have insect and rodent control plans, and document daily the sanitation of his processing equipment. It is a tremendous amount of work, but it means, he says, I don't have to worry about anybody getting sick from eating anything that leaves my farm. Now he is worried that a new law put his hard work in jeopardy. Earlier this month, 61% of voters opted to change the state's constitution to ensure that all Mainers had a right to food, the first law of its kind in America. On August 4, explosive aboard two drones flying near Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, as he spoke in Caracas, were detonated. 7 people were injured. Maduro has used the incident as a pretext to crack down on Venezuela's opposition by unleashing the regime's secret police. State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert said, "The United condemns the political violence that occurred on August 4 and urges the Maduro regime to respect the rule of law, exercise restraint, and safeguard the presumption of innocence for all accused." Even if the distribution of women's occupation matched that of men, if women were doctors and men were the nurses, she calculates that at most a third of the pay gap would disappear. The most important cause is that women curtail their careers as a part of a rational household response to labor markets, which generously reward anyone, male or female, who is willing to hold down what Ms. Golden calls a greedy job. These are roles, such as those in law, accountancy, and fiancé, that demand long and unpredictable or, parents need somebody to be on, call at home in case a child falls ill and needs picking up from school, or needs cheering on at a concert or football match. High staff churn is here to stay. Retention strategies require a rethink. In the not-so-distant past, bosses did not have to worry as much about their workforces. Newcomers could absorb the corporate culture osmotic ally. Workers' families were invisible, not constantly interrupting Zoom calls. Employees had a job, not a voice. Now firms have to be intentional, management speak for thinking, about everything from the point of the office to how staff communications with each other. Retention is the latest area to require attention. The spike in staff departures known as the Great Resignation is centered on America. A record 3% of the workforce there quit their jobs in September.